What is up, everybody? I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're with Hill City Paranormal,
What's up?
HCP Paranormal Podcast. And tonight we have a very special guest, Miss Jill Shelley. She is from St. Croix Paranormal and has about, I think you were telling me, 12 years of investigative experience.
Yeah, about 12.
But not only that, she's got two, not one, but two haunted locations. One is in Southwest Minnesota, and correct me if I get any of this wrong. And that is the Boyd House, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And then she just obtained a second location, which I'm super stoked to hear about. It's an old Masonic lodge in Illinois.
Yes. Yeah.
So have you, are you just calling it the Masonic Lodge, or does it now have a name?
Yes, it's called the Haunted 1861 Masonic Lodge. So we kind of, it's a really long name. I was like, oh, I should have shortened it. But anyway, but it just kind of incorporated the year that it was built. So yeah, that's kind of how one became out.
So which location do you want to, well, first of all, let's back it all the way up. Tell me a little bit about St. Croix Paranormal.
Yeah.
And how you got your start.
Yeah, we actually got together in 2010 is when our group formed. I actually started it with a guy at work. And he's no longer with us. He just decided to go on. But in the meantime, we got, we had people come and go, but our main four core people, which is Alex, Donna, and Teresa, and myself, have pretty much been together since, day one. So just real close, tight-knit family. We kind of started out doing the private homes, the businesses. Then we kind of migrated off to the, as we call the pay-to-play places. And then, and that's kind of where I got the idea, like, gosh, it was super cool to have my own place so I could just do this and have other people come. And so that's financially in 2018. That's when I was able to purchase my first place, the Boyd House.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's very rare for a whole team to stick together. We were just talking about that the other day. So the fact that you've got your core four is super awesome, first and foremost. It seems to be that it's hard to keep a team together for years. What do you think?
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest struggle. But that's awesome that you've been able to do it. And it's an achievement alone to have your own place to investigate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very commendable.
The pay to play places, I like that. I like that, because that's exactly what it is. We can go and we can take a case for free, or we can, explore, I call it urban exploring, abandoned places and things like that. But you always run the risk of getting in trouble, trespassing charges, things like that, which we don't condone at all anymore. Yeah, definitely when I was in my early 20s for sure, but once I got older, no ma'am. But I think that's ultimately every team's goal, is to have their own haunted location. So
yeah, I think it does. But one thing you didn't think about was like all the money it costs to run the place and all the work it costs, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love every minute of it. I love taking care of it. I love being there, like doing stuff, seeing what people get. But things that I didn't really consider, when you just come there and then you leave, you're like, oh, what a great thing.
Right. Yeah. Renovations. Now, do you, okay. First of all, tell me a little bit about the Boyd House.
Yeah, so that house was built in 1901, but our deed actually goes back to 1889 when it was actually owned by the Minneapolis-St. Louis Railroad. And then it kind of got sold off in parcels. A couple people live there, but the most prevalent family that we have in there is the Fred and Minnie Eckhart family. They moved in 1912, and they actually were really well-known business people in the community. They owned a store where they sold more of the fancier high-end goods, fur coats, the higher-end groceries. He was part of the school board. He was justice of the peace, fire department. Him and his brother and his father helped build the Lutheran church. So very well respected in town. They both passed away in the home, and Minnie's funeral was actually held in the home for 3 days. And then two of their children passed away, one who was about 2, and then one during infancy. And then I do know we have a lady that passed in the 70s as well, just of a heart attack or stroke. So nothing, terrible.
Right.
So we don't have like any murders or anything, but the town is butted up again at the time against the Sioux Dakota reservation line. So that just like literally ran right there. Our house was the first house on the edge of town. So it was really basically you walk kitty corner, you're in town. And it was the first one to have indoor plumbing. And the town back in the day, they had like 500 people in there. And they had like billiard halls and livery stables and bars and restaurants and a hotel. And now there's just nothing, absolutely nothing. There's 170 people in town. That's it.
Wow.
Wow. That's a big change.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how did it get the name? You said the most prevalent people were the Eckarts, right?
Right.
So how did it obtain the name Boyd House?
Well, real creative. That's the town it's located in. So,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right.
Makes sense.
When I got a house, I didn't have a deed. I didn't have any of that stuff. So I just, I wanted to get the business going. So I'm like, I'll just call it the Boyd House. So it seems to fit. It does.
So you offer private and public investigations at this location?
It's pretty much the private overnight paranormal investigations.
Okay.
So anybody can rent it, honestly, because we do provide some small basic pieces of equipment for those people who don't have their stuff. Just real stuff. We got like a K2 meter voice recorder, like a couple little REM pod types, not a full blown REM pod, but it acts the same way. We do have a spirit box available for them. So parabolic mic, just some basic things, to give them something to do. But then I would say majority, though, the people that come to the house are paranormal investigators. So,
right.
Yeah. So we allow people to come in. They get the house from 3 p.m. till noon the next day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I just kind of like to give people a lot of time to do stuff.
Sure.
And you are the only one there at the house. It's pretty much a self check-in. So yeah, you're on your own to feel free and just the basic rules of no drugs, no alcohol, and satanic stuff. But other than that, yeah, you're good to go. So
that's a really long investigation, and I like that about that location because we were just talking about certain locations will only give you like 4 or 5 hours. And it's like 3 stories plus 4 other buildings outside. And you're literally clock watching the whole time. Like, okay, we're going to spend 1 hour here and 1 hour here. And being a paranormal investigator yourself, as well as any other paranormal investigator that tunes in tonight, it takes longer than just 1 hour to sit and communicate. Sometimes, it takes several hours. There's been locations that we've investigated and we've been getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden it's become extremely active. So, I do like that. So how much, if I was to come and all the teams that end up tuning in later and are tuned in now, if you're in Minnesota, the Boyd House, Southwest Minnesota, how much do you charge for a 3 p.m. to noon the next day investigation?
Yeah, we allow up to 8 people with your group, and so it's $225 for the night.
Get out of here!
Wow,
are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah, I like to keep things reasonable. I want people to be able, because as an investigator, these are things that you're like.
She deserves a round of applause.
She does.
And I mean, I got to pay the bills, but I also don't need to gouge everybody, and I'm not knocking anybody else's prices at all because my other location's more expensive. But you got to base your prices too on I got a small building versus Waverly Sanitarium, which is huge.
Right.
So there's going to be a huge price difference on that. So
yeah, but we're going to touch on that. See, we keep things real on this podcast. We're very open, and I'm a very advocate for this whole price gouging problem in the paranormal community, not only with equipment but locations. When you said 225, my mind's blown because I'm like, wow. I mean, even if the thing is that I get it. There's overhead that places are trying to make money, and
renovations.
I get it. There's renovations. There's things involved. However, I feel that if you make a price affordable, number one, you're going to get more teams that are going to come to it. There's going to be more teams that are going to return to it. And it makes it easier for the poor guy to get in there. Unless you have a crap ton of money and you just want to keep blowing it on locations, people are not going to spend $1,000 or more to go somewhere unless you have a big team. And even then, it's hard to convince people to spend money to investigate. So the fact that I think you're keeping it at a reasonable price, to me, that's like kudos to you. I just wanted to give you your flowers on that right now. So that's awesome of you to do that.
And we were actually talking because my stepfather lives in Minnesota. Okay. So when we were talking earlier today, Sean said, who's our podcast with? And I said, Jill Shelley. She owns a haunted location. And I told him, I said, I'm pretty sure it's in Minnesota. And the first thing he said, he goes, you've been wanting to go visit your stepdad. And I'm like, you're right. And he's like, now we have a total reason to come. So, D Downs had asked if you have any hidden cameras or CCTV set up in the Boyd house.
Yeah, we do. Originally I did not even want to put those up because I wanted people to really have their private, personal experiences. Unfortunately, we did have to do some vandalism, some theft. So then, of course, we had to put the cameras in. But I don't watch anybody by any means because, frankly, I got better stuff to do.
That's right.
So it's just there in place. If I find damage or stealing, I can go back and review it to see who did that. But I haven't captured anything on there. There's been a few times where it's alert me, so I don't live there. But it'll be, a motion in the attic or something in the parlor, and I get all excited, and then I don't see anything. So
it goes like that. We've got Ring cameras up in our house. We actually just purchased a house May of last year and inadvertently purchased a haunted house that we didn't know was haunted. So the previous owner passed away 3 months prior to us making a bid on the house. And he is very active here. So I completely relate with the camera alerts. The other morning at 2 a.m., we got a person detected in the kitchen and we're like, who the hell's up at 2 a.m.? So Sam, hi, Sam. Sam, how far is Minnesota from Wyoming? You can go over to Minnesota over there and do an investigation at the Boyd house. Dee said cameras are a great safety precaution. I agree. I agree.
You got to have cameras these days. Man.
It's pathetic.
It's sad you got to do it, but kudos again to you. You're protecting your investment. That's a smart move.
Yeah.
I like this lady already.
Well, Jill, you got some investigators here that definitely, if I go up to Minnesota, it's right now, I think I mapped it at like a 15-hour drive for us. But when I mosey on up there, I will definitely be checking out the Boyd house while I'm there. Will be on my bucket list.
Awesome. We'd love to have you.
So going back, how many teams have you had in the Boyd house so far? And then I'll ask the second part to that question.
Gosh, it started out real slow and then now it's just been crazy. Just, basically a lot of word of mouth. So we probably, I want to say maybe 200-300 people since 2018. So, each year it's been getting better and better. Last year for 2023 was our busiest year ever. And I was just, I don't know where people are finding us or hearing about us, but it's great. And I do get a lot of positive feedback too. We have a guest book. Not everybody writes in it, but a lot of people do. And then I just, sometimes people email, thanks for the stay. And, tell me about their night, videos off YouTube and stuff. So, and I get a lot of, like you say, a lot of repeat people come back, 3, 4, 5 times. So,
oh, sure.
So that to me is a lot.
That goes back to your time slot, number one, and it goes back to your price. You cater to the customer, to the investigator, because number one, again, these places, I'm not knocking anybody and I'm not putting anybody on blast. We got a lot of followers that are places we investigate. So I'm not knocking y'all, but the places that only give you 4 to 5 hours, when you're clock watching, you can't number one, in my opinion, you can't properly investigate because if something starts happening, you're worried about going to the next spot of the house, or you're not fully focused on what you're doing because you're watching the time. And then, or if things are slow, you're still watching the time. It's like, maybe we should go back to this or go over here, and you just don't have time. So that you give plenty of time for the customer, and the price is there. So let's say nothing happens, but you want to go back. It's not hard to do it, especially if you have a team. If you have a small team of 4, $225 is an awesome price to go back and do
Absolutely.
it. So I mean, you're killing it, and I want to say thank you for that, because anything that contributes to the paranormal world, I'm a big fan of. So thank you. That's awesome.
And you know what else we do? You'll love this one.
Uh-oh.
My husband, he used to give me a hard time about it, but now we got so many good comments about it. He's happy about it. We provide snacks for you guys. So we have, like some cookies and chips and popcorn, we have coffee, that kind of stuff. Just little candies, all kinds of stuff. I get carried away sometimes when I go to Sam's Club. I just start throwing stuff in there. So
we're making a trip.
Yeah, hospitality is everything. We investigated a location last year, and we talked about the hospitality more than the investigation, I think. And I'll give a shout out, Octagon Mansion.
Oh, man.
Hands down. They had coffee ready on deck. A pot was already brewed when we arrived. The pizza man knows what door to go to. There was snacks. There was energy drinks. There was soda. They had messaged me prior, asked what kind of soda we drink. So I think hospitality is also everything. And
Cabin on the 360 had.
Yes, Cabin on the 360 as well. Shout out to them too. Yeah. Both those locations
Ryan
are here.
Jones, shout out to them.
Here in Virginia. Hospitality, good prices, and length of time are all. And all 3 of these locations now, Jill's location and both the 2 we mentioned, those are all overnights, affordable rates with excellent hospitality.
I would say Bell Grove had like Pepsis and stuff in the refrigerator too. They had Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Zero, I think, didn't they?
I don't remember. I drank coffee.
I know I got like 1 or 2 Pepsi Zeros from Bell Grove too.
Yeah.
So y'all are killing it. So thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is, I'm no little dude, so snacks and a paranormal investigation.
If Rhonda tunes in, she can corroborate for me. Snacks are life during an investigation.
They keep you going. When you get tired, you get a snack and a soda, and you're good.
Yeah, you can always bring your own, but then you're like, ooh, I like their snacks better. So it's like, you have something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just like you say, the little touches. I know when we've gone to places, we're like, oh my God, they got food,
So John, we just shouted you out. John, FPRI, Fredericksburg Paranormal, in the house over here. We've got Chuck. Oh my gosh, all the cool people are joining. Awesome. We already had cool people, but now we're adding to the cool people.
Sam, we're going to check out that book too.
Now I've got to ask you, Jill, back on track. I know we get sidetracked a lot.
Sure.
What? Yes, Chuck, snacks. Agreed. Snacks.
Yes, Chuck. Snacks.
What kind of personal experiences have you had? Because I know you investigated your own place.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What kind of experiences have you had?
Well, I think like my first night that I spent at the house, I didn't know what to expect. And I had a medium that I had talked to, and she told me that I was going to but I would experience the man who comes through the back door from the garden. And she goes, you're going to meet him that first night that you're there. And later to come to find out that the owner, Fred, was a big gardener. He had many gardens, lots of gardens. He grew a lot. So for her to even pick up on that, and I didn't even know any of that information. She didn't, because we didn't even know who owned the house. So anyway, I was walking through the hallway right by the basement door, and all of a sudden I heard this bam, 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 like 3 really loud pounds on the door. And I jumped 100 feet because I'm like, oh my God, I was not expecting this to happen.
Right.
And, then I kind of opened the door, and it does lead down to like 3 stairs, and it goes to another door that goes outside, but that's more of a thicker storm door. So it's not going to get that kind of drawback. And then the rest of the basements go downstairs. So there was no way that there was like an airflow or something that caused that. Plus it was like 3 loud, like somebody was really pounding on the side of the door. So that was my first night staying in the house that was like something I had heard.
So did you ever see the man come through the back door?
No, I didn't. Just that pounding, and just because that back it leads to the back door, so I think he would came up and then up through the basement door. So I felt like that was him. So I didn't like really see him. I felt like I experienced him and stuff. But we have also downstairs in the kitchen like the old cupboards from the 50s, the old metal ones.
Uh-huh.
And I was laying in bed one night or in the morning, woke up, and it was just kind of a nice morning. I didn't feel like getting out of bed. And my team was all sleeping downstairs. And I started hearing voices like women talking, but quietly. And I thought, oh, the girls are up. So I went downstairs and everybody is sound asleep. So
Oh.
I was like, oh, well, there.
Someone was having a conversation, just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I've heard audible voices many, many times. I've heard children audibly, women, men audibly. Sometimes I can make out what they're saying. Sometimes I can't. There was one particular time we were cleaning, and Minnie, we were told by her grandson that she had a fern. She loved ferns, so we got her a fake fern to have. And I was picking it up off the shelf, and I was just kind of dusting, and my teammate was in the kitchen. And I heard like this electronically, like 2 words, but I didn't quite make it out. And, this all happened really fast. And then I said to Teresa, because she's in the other room, I go, what'd you say? And she goes, I thought you said leave it. So we each other, I didn't even know. I thought she was the one turning on like a spirit box or something. And she's like, I didn't say anything. She's like, but I heard the words leave it. And I said, I was picking up her fern. So I think that was her, like leave my fern. So
Wow.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. But at least she appreciated the gift.
oh yeah. Yeah. We leave them tons of stuff all the time. Every time we go to the antique shop, it's weird that we shop for the dead because we're like, these are for the kids. Or, it's like, maybe like this. So we buy them stuff and we bring them toys and all kinds of stuff. And then we bring equipment, buy it, when we get it and just say, hey, if you like this, can you hit the REM pod usually? And most of the times they do. Not right on command, but at some point during the night, they will indicate to us that they did enjoy the gift.
Awesome. I like that. We've got several trigger objects, and I think that those are definitely a necessity at certain places. And it sounds like the Boyd house is one of them. So, and plus, I mean, you're cohabitating.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We go way back now, but we're getting to know each other and stuff a little bit more. I try to do things, and our team is like this way. We like to focus more on life than death. We don't even like to talk about it because who wants to say, hey, why did you die?
Sure.
Nobody wants to talk about that. But if you say like, what was your favorite Christmas present? They might want to talk about that. So we kind of focus more on that. But we did hear that Minnie really likes to play cards. And so we set up a poker game downstairs, and we had the REM pod in the middle of the table. It was hitting on and off like most of the night. We would sit and play poker with them, and they'll play really good with a K2 meter. Like they'll use the K2 as a hit or stay kind of situation, and they're good players. They're good. They're really good. So they know it. And then we ran a spirit box at the same time once, and I said, "Did you want to stay? Do you want to split? What do you want to do?" And it just said, plain as day, we'll stay. So they, we feel that they're like really playing with us. And then the clincher for me is I had put a one card I pushed to the end of the table, not hanging off whatsoever, just to the edge of the table to make it easier to throw. And I said, hey, if you've had fun tonight, just throw this card off. I'll be really excited about it. I'll know you had fun, and we'll do it again. Went to bed, and then I got up in the morning and that card was laying on the floor. So I was really excited because we actually captured that on film as well. So they had thrown it off about 15 minutes after I said goodnight. So I was pretty excited about that.
That is awesome evidence.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's really cool.
I love it. So without further ado, let's talk about your second location, which is your newest location. When did you purchase the Masonic Lodge?
Just September of 2023. So I haven't had it that long at all. So,
Brand new.
Brand new. Yeah, I
Well,
was
brand new old, right?
right, right. Yes, I'm going to bring it back to life, as they say. But I always kind of wanted a little bit bigger location. 'Cause I like to dream big, so
Hey,
So
go
then I
for it.
was kind of like, oh, and I'm always shopping for something. Just I'm always looking. And then I came across the lodge on the like an MLS, and granted, it was in Illinois, so that was really not my thing. But then I thought, well, I don't live close to Boyd either, so what's the difference? We'll just make it even farther. So
Right.
I fell in love with the building. It's almost like it called to me. So I kind of just had to have it. So we went and took a look at it. It does need some work. And so that's, for people coming in, that's going to pay for all those renovations that we need to get done. Same with the Boyd House. We brought that back. We brought it back to the 1900s. We had to put a new roof on. We had to do a lot of it. And that was all taken care of through the donations by people coming to stay. So we appreciate that. But yeah, on our walkthrough, I could feel something around me a couple times. Didn't really get a lot on the spirit box. They didn't want to talk to me on the spirit box till I gave it to my husband, who's not a paranormal investigator, but he helps me out sometimes. But because he was a man, I felt like that's why they wanted to speak a little bit more to him. And then I did capture a few EVPs as well, and we were only there for about 2 hours. And then we just kind of decided, I'm like, well, we got minimal stuff and I feel like it's right. So we thought, well, let's just buy it. And then if it doesn't work out, and it's not haunted, we'll just resell it. But we've proven that yet. No, there's definitely stuff there.
Well, it makes sense about the man thing because back in the day, that's all that could walk through the doors of a Masonic lodge.
Right.
Women were not allowed in a Masonic lodge. So that completely makes sense. And you said, remind me again, you said it was built in
1861.
1861. So
Right
now
before
you're
the Civil
going
War.
pre-Civil War.
Right. And it was the third building built in that town as well. So the town's very, very old as well. So actually, we've had a lot of the town people come forward and tell us different stories, but it seems like the whole town's haunted because people are telling us like, oh, this bar, my house, this place. And so I think there's just so much. It's also located 2 blocks off the Mississippi River. And I believe that was also Native American country at one point as well. So just a lot of everything.
So I know it's a mouthful, but again, for those that are tuned in, we have a second location, Illinois. What town?
It's in Keithsburg, Illinois.
Keithsburg, Illinois.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And it is the 1861 Haunted Masonic Lodge.
Yes.
Did I get it right? I know it's a mouthful, but okay. So do you offer the same times as the Boyd House?
Yep, we do it. So it's still at the 3 p.m. Till noon the next day. Now the thing with the lodge is because it's older and still it's not all cool like the Boyd with all the amenities. So there is no power, there is no running water, there's no heat. So we're going to be seasonal right now. But we do have a porta potty provided. But eventually, once we get the roof and the window and stuff done, then we're going to worry about the amenities because I kind of feel like as a hunter, a bathroom is priority and the other stuff is a bonus.
That's right. That's right. And to be honest with you, I mean, as a paranormal investigator, when you go into a location with no power, you dress appropriately if you truly want to investigate.
I think no power is great for a paranormal investigator because that means if any of your K2s, your REM pods, or anything's going off and you're in airplane mode, solid evidence.
That's true.
We have been getting a lot of REM pod hits all over the place. So it doesn't matter where I've been putting the REM pods. We had one up in the lodge meeting room on the podium that went off. We've had them go off downstairs. We've had I bought a China hutch and I put a bunch of Masonic items that was donated to me. And I put that inside the China hutch with a K2 meter on the very top shelf. And there's no power anywhere in this building. And that starts hitting to the red.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So I was kind of like, I'm more convinced on I'm kind of iffy on the K2 meter if I'm somewhere that even has power. I'm like,
right.
But if I'm like, there is no power here whatsoever, for that to be going off. We've had the EMF ropes going off and we've placed those in different locations. We've had them going off upstairs and downstairs. We did have, when I did my walkthrough, I got like a little kid's voice which I was kind of like, that's kind of weird that why are kids here? But we kind of, when we did an Estes session, a little kid did come through and he said that, his friend Mark was there. So he said he was 8 or he was 6 and his friend Mark is 8. And then another woman came through and said, there's a lot of children here. So we're just kind of getting on what is going on and what has happened in this location, because I've only investigated it 4 times and I've had so much stuff happen in 4 times. It's just crazy. I can't wait to see what everybody else gets. And I think the coolest thing that we had happen is when the whole team was there and Teresa was in the kitchen. She was making herself a sandwich and I was on the phone talking to my husband, and the other 2 were in the same room as I were, but they were just, doing their own thing. And all of a sudden I heard this loud bam. And I thought, did Teresa just drop the cooler on the floor? I mean, that's how loud it was. I thought she knocked the cooler down. And she comes busting through the door super fast. She's like, oh my God, something just slammed behind me. So of course, we check it out. Nothing's on the floor because the lodge, there's nothing there in the lodge. It's empty pretty much, And so there's obviously nothing on the floor, but we took the cupboard and we slammed it and it made that same sound. And then we went in the other room and somebody slammed it. I'm like, yep, that was 100% what we heard. And then come to find later doing an Estes method, there's a spirit named Harold that likes to slam doors because he thinks it's fun. So
yeah, hopefully, in his mind, he's running you out of there. Little does he know.
Yeah. Well, I think he said because he thinks it's fun and funny, so he probably laughed that she was running away. And then when we were upstairs too, we were all just sitting, kind of, we had pretty much every paranormal equipment you could think of in this giant circle of, hey, touch the, anything.
Right.
And all of a sudden we started hearing the sound of a doorknob rattling, like someone's trying to open a doorknob. And at first we thought somebody might be trying to break in. So we quick run to the front of the building and we look down, there's absolutely nobody outside the front door, and of course, as we ran towards the sound, of course it stopped. But then just kind of investigating and looking around, and then just listening back to the audio on the camcorder, we could determine it did happen from upstairs. And there's only 2 doors, one on each side, that are closet that were shut that would have made that rattle. And that's exactly what it sounded like, with somebody trying to shake the doorknob.
Very cool. I love it.
That's awesome.
Interactive ghosts are my kind of ghosts.
Yeah. So it was fun. I can't wait to see what other people get. I do know somebody had come forward and they said that they had been in the lodge and they had walked in and they went through the dining room and they saw some woman on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor, said hello, didn't think nothing. It goes to the kitchen, talks to the people in the kitchen. And they're like, well, who's out there scrubbing the floor? And they're like, there's nobody scrubbing the floor. And they all walk out there. Of course, nobody's scrubbing the floor. So obviously there's some ghostly stuff going on here way before I even got this place. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see everything else that we start to uncover there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, is this another $225 investigation, or is this price a little bit higher due to the location, age, things and renovation process?
Yeah, this one is a little bit more. I got it at $350.
Okay.
That'll cover up to 10 people. And then, some people ask me for a little bit more, and I'll just add a little bit to the price. I'll let them in a little bit more people, but.
Okay. And how many floors is this? Is it just 1 floor or?
Well, the whole building itself is 4,000 square feet. So it has the basement. So it's got the old brick basement, with the old cellar that goes to the outside.
Yeah.
Where you open that. So there's just 2 small rooms. I have never gotten anything down there, but I haven't spent a ton of time down there either. And then when you walk in, it's just kind of either side you walk to is those open bay doors that are all windows. So they're all really nice wood with the windows. So you go either way and it leads into 2 smaller rooms. And then keep going around. Then you'll run into the dining hall. And then there's another blue room. And that's also how you access the basement. And then you come through the kitchen and then down the hall. And then there's 2 more rooms. And then upstairs is just 2 smaller rooms. And then the big giant lodge where they had their meetings. Because you can see there's an altar on each end. And they have the things that come out on the sides. And that's where they do. So they would sit north, south, east, and west.
Right.
So there would be those chairs on those sides. There's a little projection room up in that room as well. I wasn't 100% sure it was a projection room because it does have like, the pop out things like you would in a shelf where you'd put a movie projector.
Right.
But you can actually see up in the ceiling where they had the frame where they would have pulled the big projection screen down for them to watch.
Oh, nice.
That would have been later on in time, obviously not
Sure.
the 1900s, but just kind of cool that they have that. But if you look real close, Donna, my teammate, she's really into stuff, and I didn't even notice. She's like, "Hey, look on the side of your building. Those are the old screw-ins for the electric back in the 1800s. So that's still there. You just kind of have to look at the building to see stuff like that."
Now, are you going to preserve things like that in this building? Like, I know a lot of people that purchase older properties, they'll just do a complete reno. But I think that it's important to preserve little things like the old electricity, what did you call them, pins or
Yeah, wherever they put the wires in, I forget what they call it.
There's a name for it, and for some reason I'm blanking, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
So are you going to keep those like original?
Oh yeah, I'm not planning on doing anything like renovating into anything different. The lodge was blue for a reason. We kind of looked it up. I had to deal with heaven. So just, I'm going to fix things that are broken. Like I said, it needs new windows, it needs a roof. But in overall, because they don't build things like they did, back in the day, it's
Right.
beautiful. It's solid. My husband said if we didn't touch it for 100 years, it still looked great. Other than, needing a new roof and stuff. So structurally, she's sound. She needs some, walls are crumbling in a few spots, but that's easy plaster to redo. So yeah, trying to keep it true to the nature. Plus, we haven't found, because somebody else had it before me and cleaned it out. So I'm really sad about that. But I did find all the skeleton keys to all the doors. So that was
cool.
Yeah, I was actually kind of running my hand up on the side in the closet, and all of a sudden I heard this ting. So if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't even see this nail had all the keys hidden, back behind there. So I was able to get that. I found a ticket for a play, and then I found just like a pamphlet for a ceremony at the lodge. So it had like 4 different songs and when they sang them and what tune they were supposed to be sung to. So, but they had like Grand Old Flag was on there. I remember that. And then we did have a couple of signs in the kitchen. They were crumbling, but I did get them framed. So hopefully they'll stay. But yeah, just that's about all the original stuff I got there. But who knows? Maybe something will turn up somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool if you could reach out to the previous owner and maybe find out like what was taken out of there and possibly like recover some of that. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to come off that, but
Right. And then, like I said, I don't know what he did with and maybe it was cleared out too. I have no idea. So, but that's a good idea to reach out and see if there's possibility. He may know something that I don't know.
Right. But yeah, I definitely Illinois. I wonder how far that is. Let's just go take a whole road trip like across the US. That would be cool.
I'm down. Especially her price. I'm blown away.
We're in Virginia.
Okay.
I've been to Illinois before.
I've never been to Illinois, and I've never been.
I think like 12 hours from here.
I've never been to Minnesota either. Sadly, my stepdad's over there, and he keeps begging me to come visit, but I haven't.
Shame on you.
I know. I'm a bad child, but it's like 15 hours to drive.
Yeah,
and when you work like a full-time job, you've got to take like almost 2 weeks off of work just to enjoy yourself,
Right.
But I'm really curious. Jill, do you have any pictures of these locations that you might be able to send me?
Yeah, I can send them to you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I want to see them. I'm very, very intrigued now at this point.
Oh yeah.
I like the Native American history at the Boyd House. That's very intriguing to me, especially, being that it was right there on the reservation line.
Right.
Because there's no telling what's in the Boyd House at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, there could possibly be like an Indian burial ground nearby.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about like nobody's going to really know what happened like in the 1700s, the 1600s. Like nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody's got history on that. And I mean, I do know when I did some research, and I don't remember, I just know it was in that county. I don't necessarily know if it was next to Boyd. But if it happened to this tribe, I'm sure it would happen to other tribes. They had a really, really, really bad winter where it was like 50 below normally, and a lot of them froze to death. So
Oh no.
I wouldn't surprise if, the Sioux Dakota right in by town, probably, I'm sure some of them froze to death too.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And that's just tragic.
Right. And that was like in the 1800s, I read about that.
I wonder if they're coming in to get out of the cold. Like, because she completely, redid the Boyd house. So now they can go in there and get toasty.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe so.
And I'm thinking the guy slammed the cabinet in the Masonic Lodge. He sounds like a prankster, but maybe he wanted a sandwich. You never
Maybe
know. So with all this being said, you're super busy managing 2 locations. Do you have time for your team to be able to go out and explore?
Not as much as we like to, and it's not so much as time that everybody has kind of changed what their life is going on right now. So we're just kind of just getting some stuff here and there. We do have one investigation scheduled in May, and I'm working on something locally for the fall, hopefully. But right now, like Teresa's just finishing up a radiology school. Donna's just starting school. Alex just had twins. So it's kind of like everybody's kind of busy right now.
It's life. It's life. And that's what happens.
But you know what? We don't do it as much as we used to, but we still have fun when we get together and do it. So
that's really honestly what matters.
Right.
Having a good bond within your team is, I think, crucial to having a successful investigation.
Absolutely.
So tell me really quick, I do want to know, what is the scariest location that you've ever been to, and what happens?
I think for us, the scariest is probably Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana. So I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
No.
But it's got a lot of negativity to it. So there was a doctor who did a lot of unethical things to his patients. They buried a lot of body parts in the backyard, and people are supposedly buried in the backyard. His daughter caught on fire, and then he mercy killed her 3 days later. Little boy had, fell down the stairs. He died. And then they had a couple other deaths, but then another real prevalent death is Virgil. And he was like the caretaker, but he was always a crabby guy anyway. But the day he retired, he dropped dead in front of his closet of a heart attack. And so the people said that there's a lot of negativity. People get scratched, locked in the closet, pushed, just because this guy's really ticked off about it. So the whole night when we got there, you could just feel the energy. It was just, everybody was constantly doing this, like the cobwebs. And I have never had it where I just couldn't stop. I'm like, just get them off me. And then you saw wet footprints coming up from the basement leading to the outside, and nobody had gone down in the basement. And we had already toured there, so there was no footprints when there wasn't water when we went down there. And then so we were upstairs in the by that Virgil's closet. We decided to run a spirit box session in that closet. And when I'm talking closet, it's like a big walk-in type closet. They have like a little table, a couple chairs, and some stuff a little bit behind you.
Right.
So we're in the closet running the spirit box, and in my head, I heard a voice say, "Get out of this closet." So I stepped out. I didn't say anything to Teresa, who's sitting in a chair, because I have a fear of getting locked and shut in places anyway. And since they told me that happens, I was kind of like, I don't really want to be in here. So then I stepped out, and then on the spirit box, it said, "Shut this door." But we didn't hear it at the time. And then all of a sudden, her and that chair come flying 4 feet out of that closet. So she went 4 feet flying. I was like, "Well, did you just fall over?" She's like, "First of all, I'd still be in the closet if I just fell over, if I leaned forward," but I wasn't leaning forward. And she said she physically could feel the pickup and push. Like she's like,
Oh,
"I've
wow.
never felt that kind of energy." And she landed on all fours and everything. So then we kind of just put the chair back, and my friend Stephanie's got all mad. She's like, "Don't mess with my friends!" And she shut the door and locked the door. And so
Wow.
yeah, that was probably the most. And then it kind of settled down after that. But we said that we would never go back. But about 3 years later, we went back. But Teresa, she wouldn't go, and so the energy was way different when we went. We did get activity, but it was nothing. I didn't have that electrical feels. It was just a completely different night, like the night we like never happened or something. So
That's bizarre. I personally have not experienced something that volatile. I don't know if I would go back. I think I'm with Teresa on that. I think I would have probably sat it out.
yeah, and I thought we could get her to go, but yeah, she just wouldn't do it. She's like, "Well, you didn't get thrown out of the closet," she said. So
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, I don't blame her. Teresa, we're with you. I think I draw the line right there, you
I
know?
don't know if I'd go back or not. I probably would.
I mean, it's definitely something worth checking out. I've never heard of it. Whispers in Indiana.
Yeah, we have to look that up.
Yeah, for sure. We're YouTube nerds. So
okay.
we will look up. We're going to be looking up when we get off this podcast, the Boyd House. We're going to be looking up the Masonic Lodge. We're going to be looking up Whispers in Indiana.
Oh yeah.
And we'll go down the whole rabbit hole from there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, if you go on our YouTube channel of St. Croix Paranormal, we got so much stuff there. You know, we used to be on a local cable show just because I kind of fell in love with video production. You know, I'm not in it to get on national TV because I don't want to, because they make you do their own thing and I want to do my own thing. So I just do it for fun, and it's kind of little I don't know, keepsake memento of our investigations and stuff. So it's got a lot of stuff on there. But the new one that we put out was from the lodge. So it's got a lot of stuff from the lodge on there.
Okay. And it's St. Croix Paranormal on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So that just took care of that. We can get on there and cover Boyd House and the Masonic Lodge.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to check it out.
Yeah, we're definitely going to subscribe. So if you see a subscription from Hill City Paranormal, you know we got on there.
Awesome.
So you mentioned the spirit box quite a bit. Is that your favorite piece of equipment, or do you have a particular favorite piece of equipment?
Oh, I love the spirit box. We got every kind of spirit box. You know, we got like 5 different kinds, portals, spirit boxes, you name it, we got it. I just love it. I love the science behind it, because I have gotten some incredible results, like full sentences, swear words, you know, so you can't deny that. I think like my favorite proving story is we were at a client's house. He didn't believe in the ghosts. He never had an experience at his house. His whole family did, just not him. This man was a very smart man. He had like 75 letters after his name, PhD, HD, MD. I don't know, like so many letters beyond his name. So very smart man. So I explained how the spirit box works. So he understood. And his house was owned by Captain Jenks, who was a riverboat captain back in the day. We're running through the spirit box. I said, "Whose house is this?" Plain as day, said Captain Jenks, running on AM radio, and I sold them ever since then. So that was kind of neat, because he understood that you can't. That's not going to happen. The odds of that you coming through is going to be 0 to none.
Right.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
Now, Sean is our tech guy. And we have a team member that is her specific job as a spirit box. That is probably my least favorite piece of equipment, and let me explain why. It's the in-between noise for me that gets me. And then when something comes across, it's so quick and I feel like I don't catch it. So I've been telling everybody this. 2024, I have a very odd New Year's resolution. My resolution is to try a different piece of equipment on each investigation that we've gone to. So I have actually pulled out the spirit box and I've been trying to practice working with it. And I find I now understand why people do the Estes method, because I find if I close my eyes that I can hear better.
Yeah.
So recently we just investigated a location, and there was a small slave child that was said to kind of roam around by the name of Cornbread. Where they came up with this name, I don't know. apparently it's come across the spirit box multiple times for other teams. So we capitalized on that moment. And I said, Cornbread, if you're here, can you let us know? And plain as day, in a male child's voice, which I've never heard across a spirit box, is a male child's voice, said, "Yup," in like a southern down home accent. And it was clear as day. So at that point I was sold on the spirit box. I'm like, okay. Now the portal, I love the portal. I love the fact that it will take out all that extra noise, but that thing has to be set just right. And you got to fidget with it. And when you first flip it on, I don't care if you're paying attention, it will make you jump every time. So, but I know you got a couple devices, like little miniature.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but it's a box that even sounds the static even more. So the only time you even hear the static is if a voice will come through. You won't hear the stations, you'll hear just the spirit voice. And I'm with you on the science behind the spirit box. I had a guy tell me that it's just a radio. So you're hearing radio stations. And I told him, you're absolutely correct. All you hear is radio stations and it's scanning. But what you cannot explain to me is how through scanning, can something completely stop and you get a word or a sentence, number one. Number two, if there's no cussing on radio.
Right.
You're not going to hear words like harlot or the B word. You're not going to hear heavy curse words on an AM radio.
Right.
You're not going to hear it. So the FCC would shut that station down in a heartbeat. So and when I brought that to this guy's attention, he just kind of looked at me like, yeah, I mean, I can explain that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is a radio that scans stations. Yes, you will hear radio clips. But when you hear a voice and it's the same voice consistently, or a kid's voice coming through and has an accent, or it's cursing, or it's something different, you can't explain that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't.
If someone can break that down to me, then I'll agree. But until then, which no one has been able to, I've not seen people on YouTube even be able to explain that part.
Right.
All people say, well, you're picking up radio stations. And I'm like, you're correct. Essentially, that's what it is, radio. But how do you get curse words and
intelligent
responses? How is something telling me something related to where I'm at right then and there?
Or
yeah,
I have
it's crazy, especially like we've been like doing a lot more with the Estes method. Teresa is very special. She's been told by many people that she has a draw to her. She's kind of recently started doing a lot of meditating and kind of getting to her inner self. So she's been really able to pick up on the spirit box. And I need to do some experimentation, because I believe when we have an Estes with Teresa, she's really not even hearing it. I think they're really talking through her, because I will have a half-hour, 45-minute conversation with her like I'm having with you. And it is insane that spirits will, her being blindfolded, she'll say exactly things that I'm doing, like physically what I'm doing.
Wow.
I'm yawning and she's like, stop yawning, just things like that. Like she doesn't know. How does she even know I'm doing that? So she doesn't.
Right.
It's just really crazy. So if you watch some of the YouTube videos when we have Teresa doing the Estes, you'll be shocked. People are like, oh, she can hear you. And hear you. Can't. She cannot hear us at all. I'm floored by how when we first started doing it, she was good, but now it's almost like she is, that's all I want to do is Estes with Teresa.
Yeah, she's perfecting her craft, which I love. That's recently somebody came to me and said, if you're going to be a paranormal investigator, you have to spend time perfecting your craft. And that kind of sunk really deep into me, because I'm like, so more often than not, rather, an investigation will come up and I'm just like gung ho. I've got my little equipment that I like, that I'm comfortable with, that I roll with. I call it my go bag. I've got a backpack. All the things I like to play with are in my go bag. And, I don't want to take time to learn about any new equipment. I'm stuck and set in my ways. But the fact of the matter is, technology advances. So, another paranormal investigator who has a podcast out of Texas called me yesterday and he told me, he said, you would be surprised how many pieces of equipment, paranormal equipment, that you can find at Five Below. And I said, what? I thought he was crazy. I thought he lost his mind. And so I started getting on like Five Below's website, and the amount of motion detection stuff that they have that's $5 and under, the amount of, LED lights that are clap on, clap off, or, motion lights. I mean, the stuff is endless, and so I really want to get in tune this year with the spirit box. And not only did I hear that child's voice, but I think it's cool when they say your name.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's cool because we went to Gettysburg and the same voice. I don't have a basic name. I mean, Courtney is not a basic name. It's not like, I don't know, Anna or something like that. And what, it was like 3 or 4 times it just kept saying Courtney. I'm going, what? What do you want? Tell me what you want. Courtney.
Wild.
And I'm like, okay. So, like Sean said, and like you said, you're obviously communicating with something that's far beyond our intelligence, because they're able to manipulate a radio to give you a message, which I find fascinating.
Oh yeah. I just love it. And, like you said too, with the concentration with your eyes closed, because that's, and maybe I didn't know it at the time, but I've been doing that ever since I've been an investigator. When I do review the spirit box, I'd always have my headphones on and I just sit with my eyes closed and then listen. And if I heard something, I'd stop the mouse and then I'd go back and figure out what they said. So, yeah, you definitely hear a lot better with the headphones on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, our team member that runs the Estes method is 15 years old, believe it or not. It's
really?
Sean's daughter. Yeah, it's Sean's daughter, and she is amazing. She's amazing at it. She can pick up everything. She will sit there and just rattle it off. And I commend Teresa, Naya, if you're listening to this podcast, you guys are the real MVPs, because, I've got to put some work into this one. But I do think the spirit box is cool. I'm with you on the K2 meter. I've been utilizing it not as to determine an EMF baseline, but as like almost like a yes/no device.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Light it up if it's yes, don't touch it if it's no, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some good responses with that recently. And I think that's pretty interesting, especially if you're sitting in the center of the room. I like to do that in the center of the room, so I'm not near any outlets or anything like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been using the tri-field to find a baseline.
Yeah.
And I like the tri-field because it picks up the Earth's EMF that it gives off. And so you find that baseline with the Earth, and then you go around the room. I find I get a lot better baseline with the tri-field. Only problem with the tri-field is it's so damn expensive.
Yeah. Paranormal equipment is ridiculous.
Oh, I know. And then you feel like some days you look at it, you're like, how much for this? What?
Why?
You go to the dollar stores and the Five Belows, but we also too, as like sometimes we'll shop the kids' toys, anything that's like interactive, you got to touch it kind of toy. We'll buy those too, and good places like Goodwill, or sometimes you get cheap at Walmart and stuff too. So we just try to anything. It doesn't necessarily, just because it's not sold as a paranormal equipment doesn't mean you can't use it. So
that's right. And that reminds me of John. John was in here earlier from Fredericksburg Paranormal. We recently did a public investigation with him, and he had 2. He's going to kill me for this. I want to say they were like dinosaurs or little like robots or something. And they had to sit across from each other. And if anything broke the barrier in between, it made this like, pew, pew, pew sound, like they were fighting, but they were actually separate. So he utilized them as like a motion detection. And I want to say he told me he got them like for super cheap at like a Goodwill or something.
Yeah.
So, you would be surprised at how much stuff you can get cheaper. Of course, there's certain things that you can't avoid, like the REM pod, unless you find like a different version of a REM pod, or something like that. But our equipment it didn't all come from one location. I mean, we've ordered from the UK. We've ordered from, a private,
is killing it right now.
A private company out of relatively paranormal. Where are they out of?
Massachusetts, yeah.
You know, so then we've got some buddies of ours that make equipment here in Richmond, Virginia, which is only a couple hours from us. You know, and then we've got other stuff that like just your simple cat balls that you get, what, 20 of them for like $14 off of Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm an interactive person. So, but yeah, 2024 is going to be the year of the spirit box and the K2 for Courtney. Well, Jill, do you have any questions for us?
Nothing I can think of at the moment. So I don't know, but maybe what was your scariest place you've been to?
Oh gosh.
Scariest.
I don't normally get scared. But I think the creepiest place would have to probably be the basement at the cabin on the 360.
Yeah, cabin on the 360 is definitely.
It was
it's a different experience.
It was a very different energy field in the basement, so to speak. And one of our team members ended up getting scratched in the basement, which we didn't know at the time she had gotten scratched. But across the spirit box came the word Beelzebub. And she said, I need a break. And whenever a team member says they need a break, we all break. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because we're a team. If one goes, we all got to go. And she was a smoker, so she stepped outside to have a cigarette. And when she came back in, we were all standing in the living room waiting for her. And she came in. She said, I think I got bit by a bug. And she was doing this. And she said, did I get bit somewhere? And I said, let me see. And I pulled her scarf away from her neck, and there were 3 scratches right down her neck. Now, she works at a local cemetery here and does a lot of their horticulture. So she has absolutely no nails whatsoever. Her hands are constantly in the mud. They're constantly, you know, getting dirty, planting plants and flowers. And she's a beekeeper. So, you know, and that's the first thing I did was grab her hand and look at her nails. Cause I'm thinking if you thought a bug was there, you might've scratched yourself itching it, you know, and she had nothing there. So,
even if she did scratch her neck, she wouldn't be able to make 3 thin little claw-like marks on them. Like a human scratch is different than a cat scratch.
Right. They were real close together in proximity.
It was like a cat or something scratch.
And Carrie's in here. Carrie is one of our team members. As you can see right here in the comment, she said it was a dark experience. I always felt like when we were in the basement that we were constantly being watched.
Like something was down there with us that was just hiding in a corner.
And to give you just a slight quick backstory on the cabin on the 360, it's also known as the Elliott Murder House, which you can look up on Google, in Mechanicsville, Virginia. And a 17-year-old, you know, and this is a disclaimer, if there's any kids in here or anything like that, cover your ears. But there was some SA and a brutal murder that took place. A 17-year-old killed his 12-year-old stepsister and then put her body in a box and drug the box out to the woods. Not only that, it's sitting on X amount of acres of battlefield. I don't want to say the wrong number, but it's like, I want to say it's 20 some odd acres of Civil War battlefield. So the gentleman, and there's Howie. Howie right here can tell you all you need to know about the cabin. But basically, it's just a very, very heavy. It is very heavy feeling there. And I wasn't scared per se, but I felt like the 12-year-old child, Melissa, was trying to come through. And we did run a lot of spirit box that night, a lot. And she was trying to come through, but something wouldn't allow her to speak. And that bothered me. I don't know if you can see the comments. There you go. Yeah, that bothered me because I'm like, you know, I felt like I left with a lot of unanswered questions. So that's one of the locations, like I was saying, you'll get a lot of repeat people. That's one that I want to go back. The gentleman that did commit the crime recently got out of prison. He's not allowed back in the state of Virginia, but he always maintained that there was something, there was something evil that told him to do it. And evidence reports and witness statements stated he spent a lot of time in the basement.
Just about every paranormal team has gotten like the evil names come through the spirit box.
And you know, that's where the spirit box had a lot of cursing. I know it called you the N-word several times.
We got one time it said, I asked it, why do you want me to leave? Because it told me to leave. And it said, because you're black.
Yeah, clear as day.
Clear as
because
day,
you're
because
black.
you're black.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I think that would probably be on my top scariest, so to speak,
Yeah.
experiences. But I will go back to that one.
That's a good one to go back to.
Howie said that last weekend at the cabin, somebody on the spirit box called him an asshole. Howie, are you sure that was a spirit on the spirit box? No. Yeah, Howie and Ryan Jones is not in here with us, but they are caretakers of the cabin on the 360 over there. So if you ever make it to Virginia, please definitely check out Cabin on the 360.
Definitely a awesome place to investigate. Hang out too.
And Dennis Eslock. Yes, Dennis Eslock as well. Howie, we got to take a road trip. Miss Shelley here, you kind of tuned in late. She has two, not one, but two haunted locations. The Boyd House in Southwest Minnesota. And, oh, well, Howie already knows Jill. Whatever, Howie.
Oh, never mind. We over here
Whatever, Howie.
We're over here thinking we're telling Howie about something.
I know. I'm all excited. I'm like, hey, Howie.
You know, why is Howie always one step ahead of us?
Always. Always.
I do remember being on that show too.
Well, I don't know when she was on it, Howie, but did you know about her second location that she just opened?
Oh, that's true. That's true. We wouldn't have had the boy. The
second one, Howie. Shit, man.
She opened up a second location, an 1861 Masonic Lodge in Illinois. So if you're still down for the road trip, please hit us up.
Yes, Howie, road trip.
But Jill, I really appreciate you being on our show tonight. I always ask this, and I ask this for a reason. If somebody wants to become a paranormal investigator today, what advice would you give them?
I would always say respect for both the dead and the living and your surroundings. So that's the best advice I can give you.
I love it. I love it. I 100% agree. And if everybody wants to find you, I know we said it earlier, but what are your socials? Are they all St. Croix Paranormal?
Yeah, we just have a Facebook page for St. Croix Paranormal now. But you can find both the Masonic Lodge or the Boyd House on Facebook. But our website for Boyd House is boydhouse217.com. And then the lodge is haunted1861masonic.com.
Okay. Haunted1861masonic.com. Y'all heard it here. Brand new location for any teams that are in Illinois or surrounding states. Please take a trip on over there. We're going to figure out what's going on in there.
Yeah,
we got to make a road trip.
Yeah, for sure.
And bring Howie along.
Yeah, we're bringing Howie as long as he has a strap.
I'll show up for that too.
There you go. Again, Jill, we really appreciate you being on. I'd love to have your team back, especially Teresa. I'd like to see, check in on her progress. I know you said she's doing meditation and trying to center herself. I'm curious to know, the progress a few months down the road. That's a very hard task to accomplish. And so I definitely commend her for that. It's hard to get in tune with your inner self, especially with outside influences a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to check in and see, of course, the renovation process as well.
Right. Yeah.
Mary said, well, we got one team member of ours that's down for a road trip, but she said in summertime, please.
Oh yeah. You don't want to come when it's cold. That's for sure.
Karen's always down for a road trip.
Yep. Awesome. Well, again, Jill, thank you so much. I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Again, I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
And we're Hill City Paranormal. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.